Here's your First Warn Weather Forecast First, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
A fairly warm afternoon has resulted in temperatures getting their way back up into the upper 50s. A couple spots even getting close to that 60-degree mark. Although we have had increasing cloud cover over these last few hours, that's ahead of our next weather system that's already producing some showers that may not necessarily be reaching the ground just yet in some locations, as we are still dealing with a bit of drier air down near the surface. This weather system will bring us increasing coverage in those rain showers into the night tonight, along with a few isolated thunderstorms possible once we get after 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. Those could last into the early hours of tomorrow morning before we eventually see some drier air again for the afternoon. That's far from our last chance for thunderstorms into the weekend, though. I'll track all of them and their severe threats coming up in your most trusted forecast a little later.
A Rockford man's called a hero after Wednesday's crime spree. He's credited with stopping a brutal attack on a woman.
Plus, a local business spreads positivity in the community after the violence this week. Owners hope their donation is passed on to people who could use a bit of a pick-me-up.
And a young sheriff's deputy is killed overnight. A truck crashed into her squad car on a rural road.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm David Greenberg. First responders are continuing to thank that good Samaritan who stepped in to help a woman during Wednesday's deadly attacks right before the suspect, Christian Soto, was taken into custody.
Police say Soto broke into Lindsay Craig's house and began attacking her with a knife. She ran out of the house and he chased her into a neighbor's yard. Keith Farney was on his way home from class at Rock Valley College Wednesday afternoon when he saw Craig.
He's sitting on the side of in her yard with somebody standing over the top of her. She kind of turned towards me and her face was just bright red with blood.
They stopped and ran over to the woman, later identified as Lindsay Craig. That's when Farney says Christian Soto jumped into his Jeep and tried to steal it.
I opened up the door, grabbed him by the shirt and threw him down on the ground.
Farney did stop and run over and help Craig. He says that's when Soto jumped in and tried to steal his Jeep. Farney pulled Soto out of the Jeep. Soto then attacked him with a knife. Police showed up right at that time and Soto took off running. He was taken into custody by officers a short time later. Both Farney and Craig were taken to the hospital with serious injuries, but authorities say it could have been much worse.
Samaritan stopped that situation and she could have easily been deceased if he did not become involved with that.
With Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, I've always been there trying to help kids. And my wife has instilled that with her being a teacher, always trying to help people. And I was just there to try to help. I had no idea what was going on.
The sheriff stopped by the hospital to thank Farney for his bravery. Farney's recovering at home with 8 staples in the back of his head and a slash on his neck. At last report, Craig is still in the hospital.
Well, since this week's crime spree, people in that neighborhood and across the entire area just trying to make sense of exactly what happened.
Blake Dietz joins us with a local business's plan to make an impact.
Mimi, David, from prayer vigils for victims to a memorial for mail carrier Jay Larson at the Harrison Avenue Post Office, community members have come together following Wednesday's deadly violence. Now, a Rockford boutique shines a little bit of light during an emotional week. Rooted hosted a flower bouquet giveaway this afternoon. Owner Liz Scher says a friend inspired her. That friend gave away flowers at her own business. With some help from a local florist, Scher and Lori Eichhoff created more than 100 arrangements for the community. Scher just had one condition: give the flowers to someone else to spread the kindness. Eichhoff says it's just one way to lift someone's day.
I was out and about and people were like, oh, I knew so-and-so, and just to feel that heaviness and heartbreak, I was like, there's got to be something we can do. I love the idea of giving back and sharing, and I think that creates positive momentum in our community and affects change for so many. So it's like 100 people giving them away, but they also themselves are feeling good too, that there's positive things that can still happen in Rockford.
Scher tells me she planned to give out the 100 bouquets starting at noon, and it only took an hour to hit that number. Mimi.
All right, Blake, thank you. Well, fundraising efforts, they've begun for 3 of the 4 victims of the deadly attacks. Youngest victim, 15-year-old Jenna Newcomb, was just watching a movie with her sister and a friend when they were attacked. Her mother says she died protecting the other 2 girls. A GoFundMe has been created by their father's co-worker. He says the sister is still in the ICU, states that the money will be going towards Jenna's funeral costs and her sister's treatment. Well, police say Jacob Schubach was one of the first victims. A GoFundMe shows the 23-year-old with his mother, Ramona. Reportedly, Schubach and Christian Soto were friends and had known each other for some time. Friends described Jacob as the funniest guy in the room. Well, Ramona, or Mona as she was known to friends, was the volunteer coordinator for Rockford Area Habitat for Humanity. The GoFundMe for the pair states all the money raised will help fund the memorial services for them. Those will be announced at a later date. We do have more information about each of these victims, as well as some links to their GoFundMe pages. They're all on our website, mystateline.com. Also, a GoFundMe for 18-year-old Jason Jenkins, who was fatally stabbed while working at Walmart. Family says Jason radiated warmth, kindness, and a spirit that touched the lives around him. The funds will go on to support his twin brother Jasper College's fund, as they now say it was Jason's greatest desire to see his brother chase his dreams. Also be a candlelight vigil for Jason at the Northridge Walmart tomorrow at 5 p.m. Well, 35-year-old Dekalb County Sheriff's Deputy Christina Mussel was killed overnight when her park squad car was rammed on a rural road.
WGN's Courtney Spinelli has the latest from Sycamore with more on how the community is honoring her life.
It's a somber day for the Dekalb County Sheriff's Office, which lost one of its own in the line of duty last night. Those who knew Sheriff's Deputy Christina Mussel say she was an exceptional person and officer. She not only dedicated her life to her community, but also to her country.
It's terrible.
A sweeping feeling of sadness among many after a crash that claimed the life of 35-year-old Sheriff's Deputy Christina Mussel. State police say it was just before 10:40 Thursday night when troopers responded to the scene on Route 23 south of Perry Road and found Mussel's cruiser had been struck by the driver of a Kenworth truck.
It really touched my heart, to the family, to the department itself, to the community. I mean, it's just, they are somebody here to protect us, and this is what happens to them.
According to ISP, the deputy's squad was parked on the right shoulder when the truck veered off the road, crashing into her. Condolences pouring in from law enforcement agencies across the region as community members are showing up in downtown Sycamore to pay their respects.
I just feel for them. I really do.
Sheriff Andy Sullivan says Mussel served on the department for 5 years in the Corrections and Patrol Division. She also proudly served her country in the Army National Guard as a military police officer for 4 years and served 4 years in Afghanistan.
Something tragic happened to me. I had the supportive community, which was fantastic to me.
Bonnie Roliardi says that's what this family and department needs more than anything right now. She lost her fiance, a police officer, back in the 80s as he tried to help someone that fell into floodwaters.
You can't have too much love, too much care, especially when you lose somebody like this.
March 28th has proven to be a somber day for law enforcement in Illinois. In 2013, State Police Trooper James Sauter was killed when a semi hit his squad car from behind near Northbrook, causing both vehicles to burst into flames. 6 years later, Trooper Brooke Jones Story was killed while out on a traffic stop on the shoulder of U.S. Highway 20 when she was struck by a semi. Community members here in Dekalb County say they're concerned about this stretch of the road they claim has been the site of many crashes over the years.
You never want anything to happen.
The hope that change happens to prevent another tragedy now marked by a memorial on the shoulder of the busy roadway, a reminder of an officer who gave her all to her community. A woman who knows the man that was driving that truck last night says he was taken into custody. He was not injured in this crash. As for funeral arrangements, we are told by the sheriff those are pending at this time. This crash does remain under investigation both by state police and the Dekalb County Sheriff's Office. Reporting in downtown Sycamore, Courtney Spinelli, WGN News.
It's National Vietnam Veterans Day.
Up next, former service members are honored with a free game of bowling.
And coming up tonight at 6, the recent violence in Rockford has led to a blood shortage. A local car dealership steps in to help.
Our temperatures warmed into the upper 50s today underneath some early day sunshine. That has since given way to some cloud cover ahead of our next chance for rain and even some thunderstorms into the night tonight. I'll track them and their associated severe threats coming up in just a few minutes.
Local Vietnam veterans are honored for their service at a Rockford bowling alley. Don Carter Lane's Assisting Hands Home Care and the Vietnam Veterans of America held the event in honor of National Vietnam Veterans Day. There was free bowling and food for all former service members. Organizers say it's about bringing vets together and making sure they know they're appreciated.
It provides an opportunity for them to come together and have some camaraderie, but also for others in the community to thank them for their service and really try to give them a proper welcome home. They never received a welcome home, and so we want to make sure that they know that we are honoring them and we remember what they sacrificed.
Every veteran also got a raffle ticket with the chance to win a donated prize.
Well, a once neglected memorial to fallen Illinois veterans in Chicago has been restored to its original luster.
Today we stand in the shadow of this memorial etched with the names of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Each name represents a life lost, a family forever changed, and a legacy of service that will never be forgotten.
The site was first dedicated in 2005, but suffered from deferred maintenance in recent years. Several names and inscriptions had faded out, making them very difficult to read. The Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs and the Department of Fleet Facilities Management all teaming up to restore this wall. City officials promised to keep the site maintained. Today's the 51st anniversary of the final U.S. troop withdrawal from Vietnam. More than 2,900 Illinois soldiers were killed in that war.
Nice to see that restored. Well, showers and thunderstorms are possible tonight.
After the break, Jordan tells us how much rain we could see this Easter weekend.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
A bit of a sunnier start to the day has now started to give way to additional cloud cover and even a few rain showers beginning to show up on satellite and radar. That's all ahead of our next weather system that will bring us additional shower coverage and even a few thunderstorms here as we get into the night tonight. However, there may not necessarily be any of that reaching the ground just yet, as we are still dealing with quite a bit of dry air down near the surface, as many of our dew points are still in the 30s. Temperatures, meanwhile, are well into the 50s, leading to a fairly warm afternoon, but those drier dew points indicating that we still have some of that drier air to work with and work through before any of that rain showing up on satellite and radar begins to reach the surface. Not yet at the surface. We're still seeing dry conditions out there with our SkyTrack camera overlooking Rochelle. A little bit of a bumpier area there as we are seeing some slight pickup in some of those winds, indicating that we are seeing that system beginning to work a little bit closer to the region. Those rain showers now showing up on satellite and radar, continuing to work their way through the region right around 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock into the night tonight on Futurecast. But behind that is going to be our main show as we get into the night tonight with additional shower and thunderstorm coverage as we get after 6, 7, and 8 o'clock tonight. That's when I think the majority of those do begin to develop. And in some of those higher and stronger cores, we could see torrential rain as well as frequent lightning and even a few isolated rounds of hail possible in some of those stronger cells. These will remain in the area through midnight tonight and even just into the few hours following that before we get some clearing as we get into early tomorrow morning. That will lead to a bit of a drier afternoon tomorrow, but we do have some slightly cooler weather once we get beyond tomorrow. For the severe threat into the night tonight, we do have a lower end risk, mainly for that elevated hail, for the possibility for some of those. That does include the majority of the state line here at that level 1 out of 5, or a marginal risk put out by the Storm Prediction Center. As we get into the night tonight, temperatures do fall once we get past some of those thunderstorms down into the low 40s for those overnight hours tonight. 43 degrees is where we head for the overnight. And as we get into the rest of our holiday weekend, it is going to be still a bit on the warmer side compared to what we've seen as of lately. Temperatures tomorrow do get back up into the upper 50s, although we will still see plenty of cloud cover, but a drier day in store for many of us. Sunday, on the other hand, may be a different story as we get additional shower and thunderstorm coverage beginning to work its way into the area. This is what Futurecast could look like on Sunday. This particular weather model does keep the coverage of those showers and thunderstorms on Sunday mainly off to the south of our area, and that would be where the severe threat would be for those storms as well. Saturday, Monday is a little bit of a different story with that lifting slightly more to the north, but quite a bit more uncertainty for those showers and storms possible on Monday as well. So recapping our 3 different chances for storms and even some slightly severe weather here as we get into the weekend. First, Friday night, the heavier rain and isolated hail on Sunday and into Monday morning. Again, the chance for some heavy rain and isolated hail, similar to what we're experiencing tonight. And then Monday PM and going into the night, there is a chance for, again, some severe weather, but the track and uncertainty, quite a bit more uncertain with the chances for those as we get into Monday. 58 degrees is where we head for the overnight tonight, only 51 on Sunday with the chances for rain and storms returning to the area again on Monday, but a bit drier as we get into the middle and end of the week before we see our temperatures again rebounding back into the 50s toward next weekend.
All right, Jordan, thank you.
Reagan's in next with sports.
Illinois men's basketball team is officially elite again.
Now sports with Reagan Holgate.
Well, 2 things have become very clear in this men's tournament. UConn has looked absolutely unbeatable. Last night's 30-point win over San Diego State is evidence of that. But this Illinois team is also very good and very tough with a whole lot of depth. Can they be the team to upset the Huskies, though? We will find out tomorrow night. The Illini faced 2-seed Iowa State last night in a Sweet 16 matchup in Boston. The bounces seem to be going Illinois' way in the first half. A layup here from Ty Rogers puts the Illini up 10 before the break. But later in a close game, just 30 seconds left here, Terrence Shannon Jr. jumps the pass and slams it home on the other end. He finished with a game-high 29 points. Survive and advance, right? The Illini hold on to win 72-69.
It's awesome. It's what I came here to do. It's what our team came here to do. It's what we expect to do, and now we're just trying to win another one.
I think we knew from the beginning that this was a special team, and we feel like the only people that can beat us is ourselves. So just staying connected, and it's a blessing to be here.
Illinois plays the defending champs UConn tomorrow for a trip to the Final Four, a stage the Fighting Illini haven't seen since 2005. Now, Shaka Smart and the Marquette men's basketball team are back on the court tonight in Dallas, taking on 11-seed NC State, the lowest seed still remaining in this tournament. These 2 teams have played each other 5 times previously, and the Wolfpack hold the edge on this one 3-2. The Golden Eagles haven't seen the Elite Eight since 2013, and this team is on a mission to get back there. Tip is at 6:09. Now the Piggies are back on the road tonight as well for a matchup with the top-seeded Milwaukee Admirals. Rockford's magic number has been sliced to just 7 games. The Hogs even could potentially clinch a playoff spot as early as tomorrow. Tonight's action gets underway at 7 p.m. Now, it might not exactly feel like it outside, but golf season is finally upon us, folks. Aldine Golf Club is officially open now for the 2024 season. Course updates will be posted on their website. That's where you can also make tee times online or by phone. Now, speaking of golf, coming up at 6, our story on 11-year-old Tatum Oswald as she embarks on her journey to compete at one of the most prestigious golf clubs in the entire world. What got her to this point and just how excited she is for the future. You won't want to miss it. That's sports. We'll be right back.
And thanks so much for joining us.
Have a great rest of your Friday evening. World News Tonight's up next. We'll see you back here at 6.